So I was like 8 or 9 when I had this random urge to sketch out of nowhere. And without thinking, I started sketching and I lost myself into it. And then it turned out to be something like this. And it was just amazing. I was just amazed. It felt like God-like, to be honest. As if I had not done this, and as if some other artist did it. And then throughout the years, I've explored other art forms like poetry, writing, creating these videos. And every time I would create something, I would be so amazed by it, just like that sketch I created. As if I did not create it, and I watch it over and over again. So I always wondered what art does. So a while ago, I tried to analyze what art does. Let's take poetry for example. If you read poetry, it does not make sense at all objectively. For example, a romantic poet would write, oh my love, you're my moon. If you think about it, it's not true at all objectively. There's only one moon, and it's everyone's moon or no one's moon. But when you're in love, everyone can resonate it with deeply. When we look at our beloveds, we can all feel that feeling that you are my moon, that you mean that much to me. So the reason for that is our objective reality is totally in conflict with our subjective reality. Our subjective reality is our experience inside, what is going inside us. So in order to communicate our subjective reality, we have to rely on breaking objective reality, what is in front of us. And that is what art does. It breaks objective reality. Picasso, the legendary painter, said, "Art is the lie that reveals the truth." And the moment I read it, I was pretty sure that what he meant was what I felt. That what art does is it breaks the objective reality in order to communicate the subjective reality, to communicate what goes inside us. So art has always been my rescue. And I always wondered, why is not everyone pursuing art just along with their regular jobs? Until I made a connection to what I read in this book recently. The book is called The Line of Death by Ernest Becker. Becker explains that how as humans we have these twin ontological motives of Eros and agape. So Eros is this narcissistic tendency that we have where we try to separate from everyone and build our own individuality of self-expression so that we can transcend death. Whereas agape is this tendency of uniting with everyone and yielding to the larger human good, to follow the cultural role and just losing yourself in it. So we can see that as humans we have these two very opposite conflicting motives, and that is every man's greatest battle. Because if you think about it, if someone just has a really strong Eros tendency, they will just lose themselves in this self-expression, and they will have a really hard time uniting with everyone else, and they will end up lonely, like some artists. Whereas agape, people lose themselves in the cultural role so much that they do not have any self-expression, and they have a hard time finding any urge to continue in society at all. So Becker further dives into the Eros motive, and he analyzes the psyche of an artist. He explains, an artist is not really different from a neurotic. They both have seen the reality of human condition, which is to understand how small we are in this universe, that we're just another creature, that we will die. But a neurotic takes this reality and cannot do anything with it, and it kills him slowly. Whereas an artist, he digests this reality and spits out his own creativity. He uses this reality, this harsh reality, as his material for creativity. And through that, he's able to validate his existence to himself and feel that he can transcend death, that he will be remembered. Whereas normal people do this through cultural roles. But an artist cannot do that because his individuality feels threatened this way. So he creates an immortality project of his own through art. But see, the extremism of either of these motives can lead to either anxiety or loneliness. That makes me think of that Jim Carrey quote. He says, "I wish everyone could become rich and famous so they know that it is not the answer." And I can understand what he says. I am not rich or famous, but I can conceptually grasp that when you're rich and famous, you have gone so down the route of the self-expression, you have separated yourself so much that now you have a hard time uniting with everyone, yielding to the larger group, yielding to the larger perspective. And that just tells me that you have to lose the claim on your life, just as through the cultural role, just as much you separate yourself from the world. And that is why great scientists like Newton can be a man of science and yet carry his Bible everywhere with him. So, although Becker's main premise in this book is of how extremism of either of these can lead to anxiety, my question of why everyone should pursue art was answered. My question that why should everyone pursue art? Why is this certain urge sometimes to just create something? And why does it feel godlike to be once you have created that thing? Is because I need to maintain the balance between when I'm yielding to the cultural role and when I'm self-expressing. And when I'm yielding to the cultural role too much, I feel my individuality is threatened and I need to protect it. So I need to separate myself. And that is why I pursue art.